Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. This week's episode is all about chocolate. I've got two delicious recipes for you. First of all, we're going to make a chocolate and banana loaf cake that's just delicious. By adding bananas to it, it helps keep it moist and soft for longer. And then I've been playing around with a recipe from the Milk Bar in New York. Heard of that one, Emily?
I've heard of it.
So it's a very famous bakery in New York that uses nostalgia of American culture to make cookies. And there's a cornflake and chocolate marshmallow cookie that apparently is absolutely to die for. Now, I've been tinkering, I've been researching, and I've made it inspired by that recipe. So it's absolutely delicious. It's got chocolate, got cornflakes in it. You're gonna love it. But first, we're gonna make our chocolate cake. Now, wet ingredients first. It's a wet and dry method of baking. So, in with our vegetable oil first, okay? And then in with my butter. So I've got some melted butter here that I've just put in the microwave. Okay, so in with those two. Very much the wet and dry method of baking this one. And then I've got my bananas. Now, pretty nasty looking bananas, aren't they really? Frozen, because when you freeze them, like the structure of the banana breaks down inside. Can you see how squashy they are? Means flavour. You would hate this, Emily. Look, it's all soft.
Let's push the ball back.
And obviously, if a banana is starting to go past eating stage, when it tastes a little bit ripe, and we all know what that's like, whack them in the freezer, all right? And you get great flavour, and they just sort of dissolve to nothing.
And you know what then you can use your skin for, Pete?
What?
The banana.
What?
You can use it for fertiliser for your plants
Yeah.
outside.
Well, I suppose you can compost them, can't you?
You stick it in water and it creates a fertiliser.
Does it? Well, there you go. On me. So, bananas in with our melted butter and our oil. And this, with an egg, is our wet ingredients. So super simple. The kids would love this recipe because it's really easy to make and it's quick and it involves chocolate, which is a winner in my house. Okay, so whisk that together and that will sort of, because the bananas were frozen, they just break down, okay? Now, have a little wipe down, tidy as I go. I know there's been a few comments out there about how tidy I am when I work, so thank you for appreciating it. If you could let my wife know, that would be much appreciated. Can we see that all right?
A little bit towards you.
There we go.
A little bit back into the
There
middle.
we go.
There we go.
Demanding. It's all for you, it's not for me. Right, in with our flour. There we go. And then we've got our baking soda, salt. Now I've got sea salt, which is crystal, so I'm going to put that in, not through the sieve. But if you've got table salt, whack it all in. Absolutely fine. And cocoa powder. Lots of cocoa powder in this recipe. It's quite a dark, rich cake. And it wants to cut through the banana, you see. So just sieve that through, but do not stir it yet. That's really important. Okay. You do this, man? Do you bake your cakes like this? Do you do?
I'm bad.
You just chuck everything in, don't you, and hope for the best. And it usually works, doesn't it?
I wouldn't do that with a dairy-free cake.
Right.
If it was an oil-based cake, I do break it down.
Right.
90% of the time, I chuck it into the bowl, which I shouldn't. I should do it the same way you're doing it.
Should always do exactly as I say, Emily. Right. Soft brown sugar. It's sat under studio lights a little bit, so it's kind of a bit lumpy. So I'm just going to break it up a bit. Again, I haven't stirred this. It's really important that you do not mix this yet. Okay? So if you want the recipe for this cake and any of our recipes from the whole series, scan the QR code along the bottom or visit masterclass.co and you will find all our recipes there. You will also find the archive of all my cookery programs on my YouTube channel or the Masterclass Facebook channel. There's 60, I think we're nearly at 70 episodes, somewhere around there now, so there is plenty to keep you going. Now, chocolate. Let's talk chocolate. This is our weakness, is it not, Emily, this one? We buy a particular kind of chocolate. Ecuadorian, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
56%
56.
Ecuadorian chocolate.
Oh my days.
Find it, buy it,
Unreal.
and eat it.
It
is.
I thought dairy milk was my favourite, but that's just something else. That's next level.
Something
chocolate.
very addictive in this chocolate. It's fruity.
Yeah, it's sweet, but not sweet at the same time. It's.
Find your favourite dark chocolate. Or buy this, it's good. Okay, so once your chocolate's in, only now can you stir it, okay? And stir it gently, incorporate it, and then it's straight into a loaf tin, into the oven, 175 degrees. So, I am just going to fold this whole thing together. I told you it was simple.
Yeah, it's a good one to bake. Like, because some people can be a little bit scared of baking, like cake. Like this one's quite an easy one to kind of start with.
I think it's really, I mean, it is. It's two separate sets of ingredients. Your dry and your wet. Put them together, you got a cake. Okay, so I'm going to use the Masterclass loaf tin here, super non-stick. That's why I use them. They are really, really good. If you want to get yourself one of these, go to cookserveandenjoy.com. You'll find the website there. You can get everything you could possibly wish for in your kitchen. Apart from me. Can't have me. Right. So, in with the cake mix.
Could you add things like walnuts and that to this cake?
You can add whatever you like, yeah. You could have some broken up frozen raspberries. You could add walnuts. You could do white chocolate chips if you want. You know, if it's a deal breaker for the kids. Orange zest would work well in here. Hazelnuts, all sorts really.
Kind of a good base to start with, isn't it?
It is, and it's a great way to use up bananas that are looking a little iffy. Because that happens easily in most people's houses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right, straight into the oven. Once your chocolate banana bread is baked, bring it out of the oven, let it cool for at least an hour before you slice it up and enjoy with a good cup of coffee. Right, it is time to make cookies, but cookies not like any other cookies. They've got some great flavours in. So, with all good cookies, it starts with room temperature butter. Okay, it's really important. And we're doing chocolate chips, so I've got salted butter in here because chocolate loves a little salt, okay? Now, I've got soft brown sugar, in a clump there we go, and a little caster sugar, all right, so it's not too dark. Then we are in with our mixer. Now, you could put it in your stand mixer and beat the life out of it, that's okay. I'm going to use my hand mixer here. It's really important that you mix this for about 3 minutes until the scratching sound stops. What we're trying to do is fully incorporate the sugar, which is granular, into the butter, which is smooth, okay? Okay, I now know that that is fully incorporated. The scratching sound has gone, which means that the sugar is fully incorporated into the room temperature butter. It's now time for our free-range egg. So 1 large egg into there and a splash of vanilla, all right? Now vanilla, it's pretty pricey these days, but if you buy the right one, you don't need masses of it. I would steer well clear of vanilla essence. I would always go for extract. So now, this needs a mix for 5 minutes until it is really pale, really light, and really fluffy. Right, I have mixed that for 5 minutes now. My whole hand's like shaking around, but we're there. Okay, so I've got rid of the mixer now because the minute we start to introduce gluten, we want to be gentle with our mix. So we mix the life out of it at the beginning with eggs, sugar, butter, vanilla. You can beat the life out of it all day long. That's good. But once you introduce flour, that's when we start to be a little bit more disciplined about the whole thing. Okay, so let's get a spatula, that'll do. Right, now I have got my plain flour, salt, baking soda and baking powder in there, okay? Let's put it all out dry together. Got my amazing chocolate, 56% Ecuadorian.
So good.
It should be illegal this, but it's not. It's legal, you're all right. Find the chocolate you love. This is the one I love, all right? Okay, and then cornflakes. Let's not show the price because I bought it on sale. No, it's fine. Cornflakes. This is what I was talking about, the nostalgia. This is where the Milk Bar kind of sit in their development bakery and come up with ideas that people go, it's really familiar, that flavour, but I don't know what it is. And in this one, it is, once you get past the amazing dark chocolate, you can taste something so familiar, and it's cornflakes. All right? So, in with our flour. Don't need to sieve it. In with our chocolate. Okay? And then, I've got 200 grams, I think it is, of cornflakes. Now look how much there is there. It just disappears to nothing. So it's like if you have cornflakes all the time, you're going to end up with dust, aren't you, at the bottom? Yeah. You need to save it for this recipe. So scrunch it all up, because you don't want massive flakes in here. Okay? And then we'll pour it in. Look, it goes to barely nothing. That's all I need. Right, let's scoop that in. And I'm actually going to get my hands in and I'm just going to start to break all that up. Can you see that all right there? If I put the jug back in the right place. There?
Yeah, perfect.
I see.
Like you knew what you were doing.
It's the world I'm in. Don't do anything until I get somebody who tells me to put it in the right place. So, get your hands in and start to work it together as a dough. You could use a spoon if you want, but I'm pressing the cornflakes down at the same time. Okay? Oh, something very satisfying about this. Oh, there we go. So there's lots of information out there on the internet about cookies, and there's a lot of people saying that you really need to set your cookies in the fridge overnight. And I actually agree. I've tested this a couple of times now. And the best way, and it has taken some discipline, believe me, to make these and then leave them overnight in the fridge. That is not a natural thing for me to do. So, but they work so much better. And I'll tell you why in a second. So let me just wash my hands and I will be straight back. Clear. Yep, here she comes. Okay, so the best way to portion these out is to weigh them. Now, in my recipe, I have worked out 70-gram portion is a good size cookie. It's deep enough, it's wide enough that it doesn't sort of go really crispy. It's not too chewy, it's about right, and it will make between 16 and 17 cookies. And the good thing about this is you can scoop them all out, which we're going to do, put them on a tray, put them in the fridge overnight. So it's really important that you put them in overnight, or you can freeze them, okay? So I'm using an ice cream scoop, and then if I just change my units to grams on this scale, I get a sense of where we're at. So we're at 53. So I want to be at 70. So I've got 70-gram portion there, and my hands are still wet from when I cleaned them. So when I roll the cookie dough, it doesn't stick to my hands, look. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Good little tip. And then all you need to do is just don't squash it so that it's flat, but just give it a little tap. So it's kind of like that. What's the best camera to see that on?
I'm just trying to figure it out. Do it a little bit lower. A little bit lower. Yeah.
There we go. So it's got a bit of height, yeah, and it's ready. So you just put that there on a plate, and then we'll do one more, and then I'll show you the ones that I've put in the fridge already. So I'm just going to tear my scales and make sure I'm at 0. There you go. I'm at 70 grams. First shot. Well done, Pete.
That was good, that, Pete. I saw that on the camera.
I feel like I should do another one to prove it wasn't a fluke. But using your ice cream scoop means that you get a really head start, really. You're almost there. So I'm going to roll that. I'm going to hope this is 70. Oh, 81.
Oh.
81.
Not far off, though.
70.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Got it on the rebound. Give it a little roll. And that is ready. Now, I've got some in the fridge, which I can show you. Now, these have come out of the fridge. I made these yesterday. Okay? And look, they're solid. And by putting these in the oven at 175 degrees for exactly the right time, and now I must try and remember how long I put them in for. Emily, I will have to check. I'm going to have a look on my notes because this is important that we get this right. All right? Because it's precise. And there isn't often there's much precise in my life.
175 degrees?
Yeah, I got that. Time.
Oh.
Bear with. As, who was it? Miranda would say.
Bear
or Miranda's
with,
mother, wasn't it? Bear with.
Bear with, bear with.
Yeah, bear with. Nearly there. Bear with. 170 grams. Oh, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. How long do we bake them for? 175 degrees for between 11 and 13 minutes, all right? It's important because you want them just right. And I want you to get them just right. So, bake them from cold, all right? So if I was putting them on this tray, I would bake them like that so they've got space to spread, but not, you don't want them too close to the edge, otherwise they won't bake round, okay? And because they're fridge cold, they don't just melt and go like that. They hold their shape and they slowly spread. And that is how you get the cookie just right. So they are in the oven. The good news is here's some I made earlier.
Hey.
There we go, look at those. And what I've done is, when they've come out of the oven and the chocolate is still warm, I've sprinkled just the tiniest little bit of salt on there. Can you see that, Emily?
Just face it to camera 3. Yeah.
Yeah? Can you see there's just that little hint of sea salt? It's the good stuff. And then, look, I'll share this. Emily, here you go. Have a taste of that.
Thanks.
And tell me what you think. Oh my God.
So, because they've got cereal in,
Yeah.
technically...
Breakfast! You can have them for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's cornflakes. I like your trail of thought. Do not tell my children.
So, a breakfast cookie.
So, it's got that familiar flavour to it. You can tell there's something in there that you know, and it's the cornflakes. But they give that little bit of crunch.
Yeah, and the dark chocolate, it doesn't make them overly sweet. It's just got that nice, just balanced flavour.
Keep talking, Emily, I'm chewing.
I'll fill in the gaps.
You have to make these.
They're good.
Sometimes when we make stuff on this show, I just need to eat it and you need to make it. And I say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you make these cookies because they are so blooming good. Go to masterclass.co website, scan the QR code, get the recipe and make these cookies. Thank you very much.